Greetings in the name of the Most High. We are continuing along in this short kind of blast period here with doing kind of a flurry of shows. And, of course, now we turn to spiritual warfare, which, most people don't understand. And people seem to be able to take it pretty good on the chin and, get hurt and get sick and get dead. I'm sorry that they get dead too. And I'm not going to say anything is completely out of the ordinary, because nothing dies unless they know that's before a forescribed time of death. God knows that. But then there's nothing wrong with looking at the cause of death. Lack of spiritual warfare, lack of pure intention, lack of, just preferring, I suppose, in some way, or having some understanding of, say, the gospel, of Jesus, of the Lion of Judah, of El Shaddai, of Old and New Testament, of the sort of symbiotic nature of the Old and New Testament, or the linear and multi-layered qualities of God's Word and the consistencies therein when it comes to a spiritual warfare. The turning away from conflict and feeling like, oh, you're really being godly now. You're going to go ahead and turn from conflict or even submit without a fight because you think that's what Jesus would want. Okay. Now, Jesus sees John the Baptist, and he goes, here is Elijah. He didn't say, here is the spirit of Elijah, here is the compendium of Elijah's prophetic wisdom. This is a likeness of Elijah, but not, maybe 3/4. He says, this is Elijah. He's come. There's no problem with people's consciousness at that time, and I suppose in all times except for here, where people come and go. Nobody said Elijah was reincarnated, right? He said, this is Elijah. As hard as that may be for some people to understand, and the need for the church to endlessly explain, he means here comes someone in the likeness or the spirit of Elijah. He said, this is Elijah. This is a fulfillment because Elijah has to return to make the way straight for Messiah. So that had to literally be Elijah to make the way for Messiah. There could be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. How he came to be Elijah, whatever the mechanism is irrelevant. Whether that can be understood in human logic or not, that's irrelevant too. Whether people understand, well, what does that mean? Does that mean we're all reincarnated or not? No, irrelevant. Irrelevant question. This is Elijah, period. Don't add anything onto it. It's a period. Full stop, done, period, end. Zed. Punkt. Bing. Done. Okay? Now Elijah, my notes here. Elijah was no stranger to spiritual warfare. he was also, quite famous and infamous in his day. I mean, he was definitely feared, loathed, but also revered. Elijah had the unction of the Lord when he patted all the prophets of Baal on the head and said, please don't do that. When he what? What did he do there? When he won the contest, which God always wins, God is God, and he took a ruler and he slapped each prophet of Baal on the wrist and said, you lose. When he slew the prophets of Baal in the unction of the Lord and power and consent, and they all died. And what happened? That got back home, and they sent people after Elijah, and he felt, oh no, now they're after me. Lord, just go ahead and take my life. They're after me now. I'm in trouble now. And then, of course, back in those days, you had Ahab and Jezebel, and they met their demise. Eventually, Elijah was hiding out in this cave, and they would send 50 soldiers, 50 men, to slay him, to convince him to come out, to come to the king. He said, if I'm a man of God, the Lord will strike you down. The Lord will come down here with his angels and take a ruler or a little ping pong paddle and paddle you on your butt and say, that is a no-no. If I be a man of God, the Lord will slay you. And the Lord slew them. It happened a second time. I guess they didn't learn from the first time. And they were slain. The third time the guy gets on his knees, he goes, oh, look, I know, you please have mercy on us. And God said, go back to the king. You have nothing to fear. And he prophesied over the king, and then the king died, making the way for the new king. And that was the role of the prophet in those days. But look here, and it's appropriate because, whenever there's a Seder, a Passover Seder, there's always a seat for Elijah. He's kind of like he's a precursor of Messiah in a sense, in a spiritual sense. And had there not been some modicum of, obviously violence, obviously working in concert with the Lord is not really, in the habit of slapping people on the wrist with a Elijah, you're not supposed to kill those people. No, it's a very bloody affair. But look, here is Elijah. The seat at the Seder here is Elijah's seat. Elijah did many amazing things, one of which is going up after the Satanists, the witches, the Jezebel, the various forces and powers that be. And because he's just one man, but had God's unction and God's power, he prevailed all the way until the appearance of Elisha. And then you know what happened. He was taken like Enoch because he was such a bad guy. God didn't want him to have a regular burial. You guys fall for that every time. No, because that's an honorable thing. If you're taken, that's an honor. right? That's God honors you. He takes you from death. He saved Elijah from death. And then Jesus said, look, here is Elijah. Same guy. All the bad guys would gather around on the banks of the Jordan and other places, to scream and shout at John the Baptist. I mean, they all knew, that he was Elijah. Even before Jesus said anything, they wondered. They wondered what the heck was going on. Herod and company, they didn't want an Elijah, because that mean the whole messianic clock would start ticking, and they'll be SOL. And then there's another kind of, I won't say appearance of Jezebel, but in the form of Salome, the daughter. And what do you want for your birthday? I want John's head on a platter, she says. Of all the things, new pearls, new rubies, new boyfriend, new game to play, whatever. It's that. Which, of course, is a win for God. The consciousness of Elijah in John is consciousness that says, I, Elijah, also known as John, must now shrink, I must diminish, so Messiah can blossom. I've done my bit. It's spanned over, many, many, many years. But now my bit is complete. I have baptized in the name of the one who is coming, that I am not even worthy of tying his sandals. And I know what that means. That means that's going to be the end of my life, which I gladly give. Though before I'm hiding in the cave, God, just go ahead and kill me. They're after me or protect me, but this is terrible. He's afraid. He's running and hiding. Now he knows he must go through with this, which is also a precursor of the crucifixion, so that the prophecy will be fulfilled, so that God's word will remain true, so that God wins. And in that capacity, he's no longer afraid and hiding, saying, Lord, please kill me or hide me or do something. They're after me. He realizes what's happening. And when the guard says, well, I hate to do this, but that's what that bitch wants, What are you going to do? And he's like, it's no problem. Just incredibly dramatic stuff, huh? Incredibly amazing things. Now, did John slay anybody? No, he was hidden in the wilderness until his time. Because nobody at that time could baptize unless they were somehow separated, right? Because it wouldn't matter. It would be like corruption baptizing corruption. So he had to be separated and kept in the wilderness by the angels, whatever, feeding him, just like the ravens of before. Because he's always been that kind of person that had to be, well, not sinless, of course, but the forerunner. He had to be what you might call a uninitiated into the world system, which seemed like a blanket thing, like I said, it's become here on earth, just like a coming of age. I mean, of course you accept Satan in order to flourish. And then you repent to Jesus, and then you bounce around like a ping pong ball or whatever. But I mean, that's been what we've had here, unfortunately. In other words, we've had nothing. And, we've had little to no effect. But then again, that too was prophesied. So once again, God wins. Will there be any faith when I return, says Jesus. It'd be amazing if there's anyone left. Because the world just, Satan has been very successful in just gobbling up people. Or the worst thing, the most amazing thing Satan does, is convince you that you're right. And usually if everyone thinks you're right, then, you're wrong. If people are jumping on you as being wrong, then you have a better chance of being right. It's the weirdest, it's like a backwards kind of thing. You ever notice that? You're on the right track and they all reject you suddenly and they did, right? And then you're on the right track. They all tell you you're on the right track, and it's like, no, but then God rebukes you as being on the wrong track. It's like, no, you got to walk this out alone, and you're not going to get the approval from the peanut gallery necessarily every time. Sometimes maybe you do, sometimes you don't, but you're not going to be able to rely on that. You're going to have to really know within your spirit, within yourself, within your person, whether this is the right way to go, meaning this is God's plan for you. This is God's path for you. Nobody can tell you that. I was going to say that, this spiritual battle goes down to the molecular level, too, in terms of, invaders from outer space or whatever. You've got all kinds of invaders into the body, into the mind. I mean, it's only God that can keep us upright and walking through all the potholes and, the traps and the minefields of disease and deceit and lies. Whenever somebody looks like they're going to be successful or some hard work is going to pay off, like I think we saw one guy recently worked really hard and looks like he's got a little breakthrough going with whatever he's trying to do and music. And then it's amazing how then people jump on him like, oh, he must have sold out. Just like, and so everybody has to go it alone, right? Because there's never going to be at rest with man is never going to be at peace. Okay, so the point about Elijah, John the Baptist, Jesus, the Seder, the Passover, the seat for Elijah, because Elijah is the big hero, and because he was taken, people leave a seat for him, thinking he might show up, or a symbolic seat that he's really there in spirit, or any of the A through D is there. It's all legit thoughts about it. A lot of times they say there's only one way to think about something, and God says, no, I think you have to be able to walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. You can't just have this sort of rote understanding and then start beating people with it if they don't seem to behave like a trained seal. Well, that form of teaching, I don't know. I guess we do that here. They do that. I mean, today maybe with the progressives they teach other things. I don't know. It's back in my day. It was always, here's the right answer. Say the answer and you get the gold star. And so whatever subject, whether it's the Bible or American history or whatever it is, doesn't matter what subject. Anyway, so in the spiritual warfare with the sort of arc of Elijah through the Old and New Testament, we have a complete, a person that doesn't quite know themselves and their relation with God necessarily, but would say, if I'm a man of God, slay these 50. If you lose if God favors me and my altar, then you prophets of Baal, we will slay all of you. Fine. Again, thinking it was an easy contest because it's, after all, they're all after Elijah. Elijah has a reputation of being a man of God, though Elijah is also in fear running for his life because he hasn't quite come into the full understanding, the full fruition. The completion is not done until John the Baptist is killed. And that's one of the ways that God bridges the Old and New Testament. That's one of the ways he validates his word. And I just thought you'd find that interesting. I mean, Because I run into people that, and I know that the one thing that'll kill people faster than anything else is resentment, unbridled anger, or even misdirected anger. Shame and guilt, obviously. These things fester in the body and become diseases. At the same time, I understand righteous anger, because it's not in the body, it's going outward, of a spirit or a soul that is just not going to take it anymore. And that person, if they have the unction of the Lord, will speak a word. He'll speak something that the Lord wants and speak it over something. It may even be cryptic. It may not even make sense. But that speaking of the word is the sword. The tongue is the sword. And that's exactly what the Lord wanted spoken, and it doesn't matter whether anyone agrees with it. Say, well, it has to be established within will. Have the witnesses come out 2 years later. That's fine. The whole point is when there's an unction of the Lord, not everyone gets it. When something needs to be spoken, not everybody understands it. If people had time to chew on the fat, they'd say, no, just forgive them, brother, and go on. Forget about that and go on. Hey, forget about that, forgive them, and go on. Forget about that, forgive them, go on. Forget about that, forgive them, go on. Forget about that, don't go there. Well, why not? If I am a man of God, then the right word will fall from that, or flow from that. And the result will be that whatever untoward thing that's happening to the body of Christ will stop happening. That's the whole point. Sometimes the Lord speaks through people something that may not sound pleasant. Remember when Jesus said to, I believe, the rich young ruler, and he said that I've got to go get my affairs in order and bury my father, and I'll be back and ready to go. And he said, depart from me, let the dead bury the dead. Let the dead bury, the guy's really interested, let the dead bury the dead. Isn't that harsh? Is that loving, Brother Jesus? No, that's truth. That's the way that had to be handled. Not people make, oh God, that makes me nervous. Are you turning people away? The churches would say, come on in after you go take care of your affairs. Our coffers are waiting. They would never exercise the prophetic, and they don't. Jesus was exercising a prophetic word, and people took it literally, but it's also meant to be taken prophetically throughout time and history. In other words, if anything is before God, then you might as well depart. It's over. You lost. You failed. You failed. God did not fail. You failed. Will there be another opportunity for that rich young ruler? Well, maybe, maybe not. But it's not, it's multi-layered, meaning it's for that person, but it's also for everyone. Thus, it becomes a prophetic statement. I think most people don't even understand the definition of prophecy. Most of the prophets throughout history have illuminated Ezekiel would be the most famous one, illuminated the situation with the corruption, behind closed doors, whatever, of the rulers, of the leaders, of the political body. They would comment on politics. They would comment on the king. The king would always, they would be rejected by the king. Jeremiah, rejected, put in a cage. Then they want to hear from him again. They don't even know what to do with him. And they all are kind of like, have a certain, aloneness. They have a certain aspect of themselves. They don't fit into society. Okay, so they're kind of, out in the wilderness like John the Baptist, but then they're brought in for a word, but then they're considered nuts and they're sent back out there. They don't know what to do with them. But they're made the way they're made, and God uses them usually as a thorn in the side of the status quo. A thorn in the side of the status quo. That's the point. Unless it's something like John on the island of Patmos, who's laying out the end of the world and the final judgment of Mystery Babylon, and then the advent of the new physics, which is embodied in the new Jerusalem, and of course the heavens and the earth, pass away, and then a new heaven and new earth, and then ultimately there's just another physics where Earths and planets and things like that don't really matter anymore. It's a different thing altogether. But the point of it is the story is finished when the tabernacle of God is with men, right? Whatever this completion is, this completion of God in man, in creation, to fulfill God in the likeness of image of himself, though separate from himself, i.e. using free will, that he can then have a place to go to fulfill the conjunction of opposites, if you will, or the ultimate prophecy, which is not necessarily a state of human beings running around in nations and people. Can we do something there, Trish? I'll just so let's compare that now to what we call, prophecy on the internet and end times and who's the Antichrist and all that. Doesn't it look to you like over the last 10 or 15 years that it's just been really almost in the one hand, the good thing is a lot of things have been uncovered, that I know for just being here in this period, doing the Zeph report. I know from in 2002 and 3, people didn't even know what I was talking about. And now it seems like it's old hat, they're old, or rather they're old hands at it. It's no big deal. The elite, what they do, what Satan's higher ups are involved in, and what runs the world, what rules the world, the hierarchy of witches and witchcraft and Satan and Satanism. It's all, they never want to tell you the history of all this. Whenever a witch says something like, oh, well, witchcraft really is not about, God or Jesus or any of that. It's ancient. It comes years before. I love it when they say things like that. Well, my reaction is, are you self-deceived, or are you just trying to deceive me? And you're so deceitful that who knows if you can even keep track how many people you've deceived and where you are in this whole thing. But here's the true history of it all. The history of it all, if you go back to the garden, and the history of the entire thing is the earth, the institutions thereof and all that is run by, you have the elites, bloodline elites, and it's all under the umbrella of witchcraft, which is right under the umbrella of Satan, as a power mechanism or a hierarchical mechanism to dominate the earth and to dominate the forces, to divvy out the trinkets and the kingdoms and the queendoms and the presidencies and whatever else. There's this hierarchical control, and then the purpose of it is the harvesting of souls, or the gathering of souls away from God, and also the general war against God. That's why in satanic ritual they have things like, or in Satanism, many witches wear upside down crosses. Oh, it's got nothing to do with Jesus. I'm really a wicked. Well, why are you wearing an upside down cross then? Well, that isn't the cross. That's got something to do with, oh, I see. Okay. I get it. And that's why abortion is so important, because, that's one of the chief sacraments that the people that whenever they're really trying hard to get post-birth abortion, because then that would be a real boost, a real pop to the people that benefit from that sort of thing, like the governor of Virginia. Obviously, he just can't wait. He's already acting like it's going on, and I guess behind closed doors. And I predicted he wouldn't be removed. He'll be promoted. What are you talking about? What he's talking about is exactly what they want. So who are they? Well, they're the same people Elijah slew, the prophets of Baal. They're the harvesters of the babies for Molech. They're the people in charge of the temple prostitutes that most religious establishment eventually become sort of Dionysian, bacchanal orgy fests. And it's now I'm basking in the glory of God here, that God actually revealed all this to us over the last 15 years or so. And the fact that the people went back to sleep, which I knew they would after 9/11. I knew if they ever accepted, stuff that we were talking about back then, that basically trying to alert people that, hey, I mean, it was kind of cute. Here I am out there alerting people that, like young Goodman Brown, and I'm going on the airwave and they're saying, really, Zeph? Really? You really think something like that's going on? Yeah, that's what's, they think they've got an iron grip on everything. They do. You don't say. While the people interviewing me, the people on these radio stations are up to their necks in it. They may not kill anybody, but they certainly are bowing down to the ones who do. And then it's presented as truth radio. Oh, God, what folly! What tremendous joke this is! What a tremendous joke this is. You don't say, Zeph. What else is going on? Well, they kill babies. Really? Where's your tinfoil hat, buddy? Well, how many... what? Oh, you better take this letter that says you're of sound mind, because they're going to come round you up talking like that. Oh, I know, because you sound like a lunatic, right? You sound like a lunatic. Until you've been vindicated. And is there an apology for ruining your life? I mean, in their terms, I mean, no one's ruined my life. I mean, but you know what I mean, in terms of having a normal pathway. I don't need an apology. My Lord loves me. I don't need the world to do anything. But the world needs to know that you touched the wrong one. And it could very well be the end of you. And how do you know what's the right one to touch? Oh, the right one to touch. You're that cynical, huh? You're that far down the road. Well, your life is over anyway. What's the point of you even breathing? You've already gotten to the point of, well, there will be no repenting. I just want to know which ones you can touch or not. Well, it's a minefield. You see, there is a God that protects. There used to be prophetic voices that would speak up. There used to be. I guess a long time ago. Every once in a while there'll be a little voice and they'll all say, oh, that guy's crazy. All the prophets were crazy. They were all outsiders. They were all misfits. But I know the one thing they don't want. Numero uno. In the churches today, they do not want prophets and prophecy. It's more like the psychic phone network or whatever. If you've given to the church in the last month, you can come talk to one of the prophets. And here's these Heckle and Jekyll. You know what I'm saying? Just the most lost, idiotic people you've ever seen in your life, posing as a prophet of the living God. Posing when there's no reality to it except it's convenient for the coffers. And the people like it. Give us Barabbas! Give us Barabbas! Give us Barabbas! But this man didn't do it. Give us a liar! Give us a thief! But don't give us anyone of God.
Well, why would that be, Mr. Professor?
Well, could it be that the majority of the population is willfully self-corrupted under the thumb of Jezebel and the vast expanse of hierarchical witchcraft? And they don't want the status quo to be interrupted. And so they're going to go ahead and take Barabbas. And they don't want Jesus. Oh, those dirty bastards. Who, your parents, you mean? Your brothers? Your sisters? Your teachers? What do you mean, dirty bastards? We're going to keep playing this little game. Yeah. Round and round and round we go. Where it stops, nobody knows. I don't know. They don't know. He don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. And, that's the sad state of affairs, you see. So that then frees me up to kind of, there's not much more I can say about it. That's the state. Did they want to saw Isaiah in half? Did they want to ultimately kill? Yeah, they ultimately killed them all and then they put statues of them out, and so people could say, here's a mighty man of God statue. Oh, wow. But they don't really want them around. Because you see, then the people might have to repent because the people have believed a lie. But also it's their fault because they knew better. When Jesus said, Lord, forgive them for they know not what they do, what he meant specifically was they know not what they do in bringing about this final, situation of Messiah. They don't know what they do in killing the innocent. And, they don't understand that there's the ultimate fulfillment. But they do know what they do in the sense that, people know right from wrong, right? I suppose they could get an appetite. Do you think they really believed, give us Barabbas, we really, really believe he's great? I think they knew what they were doing there. Kill Jesus, blasphemy, King of the Jews. I think they knew what they were doing there. They wanted him dead. They wanted him, they let Barabbas go. They wanted him silenced. Ha. That's the people now, not the elites. That's all the people. Let's scream, yeah! Kill him! Crucify him! Crucify him! Whip him! Beat him! Evil man. Evil. And so it goes down to today. And here we are in about the exact same condition that we were in then. Except the problem is some prophecies have been fulfilled. For example, all things will become known. the truth will be known. So why would that be? So that the people are without excuse. So when the judgment hand of God comes, when the thing kind of goes to the wrap-up of the wars and the plagues or whatever is going to happen here, when that hand of judgment comes down, the people know the truth. The people know the situation. That the only reality is God. I mean, God is just a reality. They know the little childlike, the childish dream world of Satan is an illusion. Yes, that's what we call it, an illusion or a flight simulator. We're talking about the hierarchy of Satan. But the real reality is God. And God's statutes, provisions, creations, manifestations, these are real. These are not any simulated anything. This is real truth, just as Jesus is truth. But the world, so to speak, is illusion. But they want Barabbas, so they don't want Jesus, which is truth. They want Barabbas, which is the illusion. Give us Barabbas! We want, or if you like, we want the illusion. We want the semblance of being happy. We want to partay. We like it the way it is. We don't want to change it. But you people are all following in a procession of crumbs. We like the crumbs. So it's a drunkard's dream if I ever did see one, because you guys are doing the bidding of the elites who really want to kill you. But it's okay with you because you're not supposed to know that. As long as you don't know that, everything's cool. That's right, Zeph. Everything is cool. It's cool. Okay, I said it. It's cool. And who are you to judge? I'm not judging. I'm an observer. All I want is the truth. The truth. That's it. As far as judging, well, I don't like it. There's a judgment, and I'm going to keep my judgment. Thank you very much. I don't like it. I don't like deceit, dishonor among men, violence among men, plotting amongst men to kill the other one, all this stuff they talk about in the Bible, and the first proverb about the collective laying in the wait for innocent blood, and then having a collective spoil and doing the bidding of the witches, and having this whole golden calf ceremony 24 hours a day on television, and have everyone in a state of a hypnotized state of compliance that they somehow revere as getting with the program when there is no program. There never was a program. There will never be a program. It's all just a manipulated dream state that people have agreed to be in because they don't want to know why they breathe. At all. And there's nothing we can do about that. There's nothing. The only reason I know why I breathe, and I have to go through the painful steps of just realizing the two-tiered reality, is because that was, ouch, ow, boy, but that hurt. Shown to me in the beginning of my own life. I was shown that whole situation, and it took me a while to accept, and going back and forth, and then blocking out my youth, and blocking out memories, and then coming back to the memories, and wondering, gee, why would that be? And eventually coming into the truth about what is this world. Believe me, no one has ever challenged me. Ever. There could be semantics, I think it's more like, that's fine. And they're not going to, because they know it's the truth. Perhaps it could be presented a million different ways, with a million different people, but that doesn't matter. Truth is truth. It is what it is. Or I love to say, listen, it is what it is. Why can't you be hypnotized then, and just kind of take her easy? Because I don't really like the Eagles, I'm not a big fan. Take her easy. Have you seen these people? Their faces are like road maps. They're starting to now have to go to the hospital. Was it worth it? Putting that out there. Take her easy. You know what they're talking about. They're saying accept the way it is. Don't be hard. Don't make it hard. And then, but to do that, you need to be somewhat hypnotized, right? You've got to be hypnotized in some way to accept the lie as the truth, right? Something's got to get you over that line. There needs to be some kind of, I don't know, but then your free will is engaged. So you can't be that out of it like on drugs or something, because then it wouldn't count. Because they go by those rules very strictly. They're not going to say anything to you until you've given up your free will, and then they're going to say, "Ha ha ha, sucker." Well, you're going to hell with us. You might as well enjoy yourself. And then they'll come out like the munchkins and play with you and show you the wonders of this lovely world. Better get those knee pads strapped on real good, because there's no end to the things you're going to wind up worshiping. The sun, the moon, the trees, the traditions of men, the various icons and leaders, the celebtards. Oh, yeah, oh no, have you ever been around celebtards? You better be on your knees, or you're not getting invited back. Oh my God, I'm so frightened of not being invited back. I'll do whatever you want. You bet you will. All you wannabes, you're never going to be as great as these kings and queens of Celebtardville. Look at them in all their glory and all their attitudes and opinions, lapped up like the gospel itself, enjoyed by billions. How can you compare to that? I'm sorry, I'm trying to be funny. I don't think it's really working, but a little humor goes a long ways, But anyway, the point is, sometimes the Lord prophesies through people something that may be considered to be unloving or of a violent nature. And, people misunderstand. Not my will be done, but thy will. And if the Lord's about to kill somebody because of what they're about to do to one of the saints of God, then someone needs to warn that person and be, put the big boy pants on and say something where all the Christians will jump on you and call you unloving and judgmental. Understood. That's why they say it's a lonely walk. Because, in a group, you're not free to speak your mind. Alone, you are. That's just the way it is. Because if you hit on any kind of truth at all, you piss off every group there is. You'll piss off everyone. And they'll make it you be the problem and not them. I had my little rant yesterday at night. I was, had a... Who knows? I just felt this thing, this these attacks, and they just need to be warned that to stop, for their own good, not for my good. It's fine. Every day is warfare day. Every day is warfare day. Every day is binding them. Every day is handing them over to. Every day is identifying them. Every day is marking them. Every day is, every day they're getting tagged, right? That means they're marked. Well, that's what we do. We tag them or bless them. It depends on what comes into our radar. But there's a lot of people, tagged. Well, it doesn't happen that often, but usually it's like if somebody attacks you, they end up, you don't tag them. I don't tag them. They end up tagging themselves. They attack you, or they say something out of school or do something. It's the demon in them or the thing in them that's their programming breaking down something. And then they're kind of have to be put on notice because, see, once they have that tag on them, their own people will reject them, and then they'll have to, if they want to keep going in this realm, they have to repent. Repent. They might as well, because there's no more gravy train for them, right? The gravy train ends. And, we know a lot of people like that whose lives have been saved, who said, thank you. I mean, and I didn't do it. It's just, when you hand someone over to the Lord, that's basically tagging them. I mean, you've identified them as an enemy of the kingdom of God. Here is an enemy of the kingdom of God. They're marked as such. The others know that they're now seen, and so they don't want those cooties, so they back right off. And then that person becomes isolated, and a lot of times they get it. I call that isolation God breaking us. He only breaks the ones he loves. So if he breaks you down to nothing, which he's done to me a number of times, you just got to try harder to get in the groove with him, because see, what happens is he breaks us when we're to stop us from hurting ourselves, in a way, to stop us from going down the path we're going, to get our attention that we might be able to change, or that he wants to change us or change our direction. We're not really listening. So we're getting broken down. A lot of people mistake that getting broken down as the enemy is attacking me, but I love them, so I'm not, and then they die. Misinterpreting the idea that maybe that breaking wasn't so much spiritual warfare against them, but God getting their attention that they might change direction, or even as some kind of consequence of sin from a prior years or months or weeks of some prior thing that's like a little bit of a karmic payback that one has to pay, in a sense, that it's reaping of what we have sown. And so there's a breaking that goes on, and we're actually just paying for that. Like if I murder somebody, right, that's a no-no, right? So I go to jail, and though I love the Lord and everything, that's the consequence of my action. That doesn't go away just because I say Jesus or I have the Lord. That does not get me off of the violation of murder. Just like if I've done bad things and they could catch up to me, instead of saying, well, those are the witches breaking me, that's my own past catching up with me. Though I'm with Jesus, I'm getting broke down anyway from things I did before that are just are reaping what has been sown. It takes a prophetic discernment within us all. We all have gifts. Many have prophetic gifts. To know and understand the difference between an attack, a karmic debt, a breaking of God, or an attack, by obviously Satan, which is whatever, to try to prevent. If it's Satan, which is whatever endeavor you're doing that they're trying to block, you should have had the unction of the Lord to begin with. If God is in this thing, who could be against us? So make sure that you have the unction of the Lord first before embarking on whatever journey. I don't care whether it's a vacation, a business venture. It doesn't really matter what it is. It's just we want to have the unction of the Lord, because I'll tell you why. We forget this. The world is a very dangerous place. Many dangerous, awful things happen to people. Once you step out those doors in your apartment or your home or wherever your hearth is, your home and hearth, it's you're entering a war zone. When you get in the car to get in the traffic, to be on the freeway, to go to your job, you're in a war zone. When you're walking down the hall or going from the parking lot up the elevator and to your cubicle, wherever it is, you're in a war zone. When you're going down to the mall to do a little shopping or going out to have some tea with a friend, it's a war zone. Especially if you go to Starbucks, it becomes right. Well, good to go with a couple of friends, because then you can talk about the Lord and the end times and satanic and abortion, and before you know it, you'll have that place to yourself. I wouldn't laugh too much, because sometimes they get the advantage. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you can't just celebrate your superior. Nope. because that then becomes a sin in and of itself, because you're putting yourself before God. Done. Okay, bing. So you can't do that, right? So it's like the people of God are just like this. They're just like humming along, not too high, not too low, not too exuberant, not too depressed, but kind of in this like observing kind of quiet state as they go forward. Yeah. I've been in that kind of like, I almost felt like it was a zombie state. I've been in that state of, that I might even say is very uncomfortable. I thought it might be depression, that I've been depressed for a number of years or months. I've been depressed, I guess, my whole life pretty much. I've been in a kind of a low-level depression, of just, it's more of a physical thing than a looking out the world and not being bummed out. I don't look out at the world. I look out at the world today and I see what it is, and I may not love it, but there's nice things too. I mean, I've got the sunrise, I've got some land to look at, and there's creatures, and I'm just thinking about, I'm going to have to kill some rattlesnakes, and oh boy, that's going to be fun. But anyway, I may actually this time call some people to come here, and if I see them, and then grab them and put them, they let them go out, where they keep the rodents at bay. You know what I mean? They keep the balance. Otherwise, we'd be run over by rats and rodents and things, so you want snakes. No, I mean, people, it's not pleasant when they're on your property and they're on your pathway and you get to the garage, but you can't because there's a poisonous snake sitting there trying to block your way. It's kind of like, okay. But then again, that's just like life. There's always people on the hunt out there looking for innocent blood to spill. And the innocent blood could be in the form of just creating trauma or false accusation or bad vibes. People forget bad vibes are basically cursing people with your mind. Sending bad vibes. They're mad at you. They hate you. They whatever. And even though it comes back on them in the end, it hurts them and gives them diseases and all kinds of things. People do this a lot. And they think they're not really cursing, and it's not saying it with their mouths. They're not, but it's just kind of a general bad vibe, and usually because people don't feel good about themselves, and then they're looking to off that onto somebody else so they can feel better. I mean, it's understandable. But the child of God must discern that. And that's a prophetic gift, okay? That somebody in your group discerns it and pray through for God's protection and God's leading and God's unction, whatever your endeavor may be, and go forward that way. And that's the only, we can't just take the bull by the horns and, do whatever we want. I mean, that just doesn't happen. So, but every once in a while, God lays down the law, and it's like people get warned. I remember when, he'll speak through his people, and it's just like the rattlesnake. Rattle. Shh. It's warning you to stay away. Don't come any closer. Right? Fair warning. On Satan's side, they have their own iconography, like all the entertainers and things, and if you try to throw a monkey wrench in any of that stuff, all of a sudden things out of nowhere come at you, right? That's the protection. They have protection too. And I'd be a fool not to mention that part of it. Yes, they have protection too, just like you do. And you get the unction to say something or do something, and then you don't. Then you keep your powder dry. One thing Jesus said was, and this just kind of sticks, what good is it if you love people that love you? It's really you love people that hate you. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean you don't warn them? No, you can warn them all you want. The point is that you're not holding a grudge. You're understanding the deeper process, and therefore you forget individuals. That becomes true forgiveness, because once the individual is forgotten and you see it as process, you see, then you're not going after someone. Well, you really hurt me in high school. So, right, people are still carrying that around. I mean, and I've did a song about that not too long ago, remembering all the people that I perceived who did something bad to me, And I'm sure they have me, and if they were going to do a song, they could have me listed as one of the people that did something bad to them. I'm sure. Why not? But when you see it as a process of the big picture, when you see the view from 10,000 feet, let's say, right, and you see it as an impersonal process, then you have forgiven, because now it's no longer the individual in your mind, in your heart, in your body, in your consciousness. It's the process. Therefore, you've risen above it. And that's what I believe, that through all, I can't prove it, you know what I mean? You're just going to have to take it to the Lord for any kind of confirmation. But after all my years of this, I could never forgive individuals. But once I saw it as a process that's impersonal, I forgave everything and everyone. I understood it was just physics. And people are just merely actors. That's not, my war is not with them. My grudge is not with them. No, my war is just like Ephesians 6 says. Principalities and powers in high places. Part of the process. And so, therefore, if I don't hold a grudge against a person, a person can be filled with venom and anger and just come at you and decide to punch you in the jaw, let's say, or just in some way, run their car into you or do something. Again, you see that they're caught up in a process. You see that it's not really personal. Ultimately, they're not that conscious for it to be personal. So what is it? Well, there's some force, something that got in their mind that they needed to, punch you out. Or I see somebody with a MAGA hat, another guy come and punch him in the face and throw the hat across the room. That's not a personal thing. Now, you could hold a grudge against that guy, but it almost seems rather silly, right? Okay, or your mother or your father or whatever who's abusing you, you know what I mean? And it's just like, and then, they were abused. And then you see it as an impersonal process that they're caught up in it. And whether you were, another little tip, whether it's you or somebody else in your position, everybody's going to get the same treatment of abuse. And it's not personal with you. Anybody, substitute anybody in, they get the same thing. Right? So, I think that's what forgiveness really is. Because you go through the faces and names. Okay, I know you died a couple of years ago, and I held a grudge all my life, but I forgive you, okay? That's not really working. I still feel there's hooks in me. Oh, I see. No matter if it was me or somebody else, or even that person or somebody else, the same thing would have happened. It's an impersonal process. Yes, so therefore, no sense of a personal grudge or unforgiveness, because you see it. It's just like, I hate that machine because it takes conflict to run it. It has an internal combustion situation that then produces energy. I don't particularly like it. I'm not going to forgive that machine. What happens? You don't forgive the machine. The machine is doing something I don't like. It's hurting me by putting out carbon, whatever. It's choking up my lungs. I feel very angry, and I'm not going to forgive that machine. Why not? Because it's hurting me. And that goes for everyone who made it and everyone involved. And I know that sounds absurd, but the whole point of it is that it is absurd. The shift we have to make is to that process and not see it as just some mono thing, or even worse. God, why are you forcing me to go through this? i.e. unforgiveness of God. And then the answer is, hey, son, anybody, I could stick anybody in there, they get the same treatment as you. It's not you, it's just something that goes on. Well, why can't you take me out of it? Because, this is the, I honor free will. That's why. I know you can't. It's hard to work that back, but I mean, it's if you do the work, you'll see it leads to free will. Okay. I think we've covered it. I just, if you could just get a hold of this impersonal thing, I think, probably you go light years ahead. Light years, speeding light years ahead. The other thing is worrying about what people think, which shows a bit of unforgiveness too. Worrying about people think means, damn it, I'm worried about what they think, therefore I'm trying to please them, but I don't like the situation, therefore I hate them. I know, you never get to that I hate them part, right, when you work it back. Therefore, I got to let that go, because I can't hate anybody and get into the kingdom of the Lord. He says, if I don't forgive, the Lord won't forgive me. I can't move on holding grudges in my heart. I know Satan enjoys grudges, and it's like, I know, they say, well, Trump is a man of God. I go, well, he says he's going to get even with everybody. He's a flawed man. Although I so enjoy the entertainment, but I think a lot of people are feeling like this whole thing's about to go off the cliff, and people feel negative about the future because they see that the fight to keep the status quo of human misery is on, and the representatives of human misery in politics are intent on taking back their power and putting everyone in squalor. And it seems like the little guy just doesn't have the balls to really fight back, so that may be where we're heading. I hope not. I just, there's really nothing I can do about it. Man desires squalor, I think. Desires hardship. And those things that are common sense that would help people and everything, it's, they've got dashed in Venezuela, Cuba, various places, but the people don't seem to learn from those things, and so they want to do it here. I can't account for it. I don't understand it. I don't understand why someone would willfully want to commit murder and have squalor. I don't know why. I know why the celebtards do it, because they want to be up in their $25 million penthouses while they look down on people, shitting up the streets. They get off on that, but that's their problem. I don't even want to go there, but there are people that are like that. I mean, we know people like these high rises in San Francisco where they're just like, people on the street are literally just in that squalor, and you can look down from your almighty penthouse and see them all struggling and barely having clothes and being sick and desultory and uncared for and just almost feral, while you're sitting there in the genteel behind your glass, ruling over all of it with your safety net and your pension or your income or your investments and the hell with them. I understand. I don't have that need to. I know if you have a satanic spirit, you need to see them in squalor, and that boosts you, even higher when you see the kind of struggle of humanity. Then you get there's a high on that. There's some kind of enjoyment. My thing is, I wanted people to do well and be self-interested. In other words, be guided by their hearts or by their dreams or by their... Because I think dreams and your heart's desire sometimes is God puts it there on your heart, to follow those dreams as a kid, that you want to do this or do that and have a world where you can accomplish those things and by and by get wisdom of what this all is all about, but it doesn't look like
my hope for people is going to happen. And it just seems like what's going to happen is people are going to prefer to be in strife and war and poverty and struggle and lawlessness and things like that. It's really sad, but I'm not sure people work it through mentally to consciously make a choice to have a decent society or to have a society of violence, pain, and suffering. I don't know why they would choose the latter. But as long as they do, I just have to, I've got to turn to other things, to satisfy my own need for therapy, which is basically writing or, creating some music or doing something that addresses my angst on this matter. I can't resolve it through speaking. You can ask somebody, why would you do this? They say, I didn't have a choice. I was forced to do this by the white supremacists or whatever, by somebody.
But then that's a topic for another day. Okay, folks, I think we've done it. And it's gosh, today, it's weird. I had a really long sleep, and I'm just kind of in a different kind of mindset, and it's good. It's good to sleep. And it seemed like 2 hours. I see the clock. It's only an hour and 15 minutes that we've been, going at it here. So time has definitely slowed down through sleep. Isn't that strange? It is a strange thing. It is. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll see you here next time. And I'm going to try to implement that. I'm going to try to really look at everything and depersonalize. I mean, that's one thing I want to emphasize the fact that whether I'm there or somebody else or whatever, same thing would have happened. And the same thing where I have been doing harm to others or whatever, whether it was me or somebody else, same thing would have happened. I mean, this total kind of forgiveness through understanding the process of it or the impersonal nature of it. It seems like that's the only way that I can forgive it. See, that's the only thing that's going to really work, right? Because if I think of personal people, it's sort of like, I suppose what you could do is put that person in your mind in a good light, like doing something positive, or see them with their kids or something. Oh yeah, I don't hold a grudge. I mean, that didn't ever work for me because it comes back. It comes back like just comes back like a wart or something. Anyway, food for thought. We'll see you next time. God bless you, all of you. Pray for your healing and joy, especially as we go into this, as we conclude our week, as we start going into toward the end of the week, another week flying by.